Yeah, that felt pretty good. And as the kids like to say,
Think I got my swagger back. Oh.
Yeah, big week 3. The pep talk from Remember the Titans worked. Let's keep it rolling into week 4. Roll the tape. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Uncle Dan's Best Bets here on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel, presented by Connors and Ferris. Before we get into the videos, as always, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We just went over 33,000 subscribers. So again, if we could pause, subscribe, really appreciate it as always, and comment in. I love this because this is one of the videos that I kind of just do on my own. So it's really kind of cool to interact with you guys and let me know what you guys like and your picks. We can all ride them together. Tell your friends, all that good stuff. So I really appreciate the comments, the fellow viewers. Ian and his son Graham is now a winning machine, his newborn son. So we just keep it all rolling. I know Graham is like 3 weeks old. I know he's watching Uncle Dan's Best Bet. So we really appreciate it as always. Thanks, Graham. Appreciate it. Got a great dad. All right. As for the rest of this, please be sure to thank our presenting sponsor of Uncle Dan's Best Bets, Bob Johnson Auto Group. I drive a Bob Johnson. I work with Daryl, and my wife works with Daryl out in Leroy. We both have GMC Terrains. We both love them. So if you want to buy, lease, sell, trade your car in, head on out to Bob Johnson, proud presenter of Uncle Dan's Best Bets. Tell them that Uncle Dan sent you. All right, week 3. Pretty good. Pretty good. The pep talk from Remember the Titans worked. 7-2 week, massive hits. And if you thought the Denver Broncos play was ugly, I got another ugly play for you this week that I will bet and never watch any of that game. I also have a 6-pack of plays for the Bills Ravens on Sunday night. My heart and my head are torn between the pick of that game, but I still found 6 other plays that I really like. I got 11 plays for this week. Last week, 7-2 got us back to 500, 12-2 on the year. Let's keep it rolling. And we start with a Thursday night play. I will tweet this out Thursday night. This is when I record this, but I post it Friday morning. So we won't know if I've won this first play, but I really like Devin Singletary over 59.5 rushing yards. The Dallas Cowboys have the worst rushing defense in the league. They're allowing over 180 rushing yards a game. Plus, they have just been getting beaten up. They just got beat up by the Baltimore Ravens physically. I always like taking some of these teams where they play the Niners, the Steelers, the Ravens, physical teams that take their toll on a team the following week. So I like that the Jets, and while Daniel Jones has looked competent, I love Brian Daboll. I think he's smart enough to know where the weakness is on this Cowboys team. It's going to be to run the ball. Devin Singletary has gone over this mark in 2 out of the 3 games this year. So I like Devin Singletary over 59.5 rushing yards on Thursday night. When you're watching this, I will either be right or wrong before you watch this. Okay, as for the rest of the plays, I also like the Bears -3 versus the Rams. And this is why. But Dan, the Rams came back from this amazing win, all those things. That's great. But the Action Network tells me that teams coming off a 14-point comeback in their previous game are 49-70-1 against the spread since 2016. That means they're 41% the following week against the spread. And when teams coming back over the last decade, especially when they go and play on the road, they're even worse. They're 30-44 against the spread. So this is just a system play where teams historically have this big comeback coming off an emotional high. There seems to be a letdown the following week. Loved what the Rams did. I was on them a week too early. I bet them in week 2 when they got rolled. They then bounced back. This is kind of the pendulum swinging both ways. The Bears defense, I think, has been getting gashed, but I kind of actually liked what I saw from Caleb for the most part. I think the Bears at home can beat the Rams, who threw everything and the kitchen sink last week against the 49ers. Again, another team that's coming off a physical game. The Niners usually kind of take that toll on you the following week. So I like the Bears -3. I also like the Packers -2.5 at home against the Vikings. I still don't know who's going to play. How about that, though, for you? How about the Packers second half line? Will Levis, not great in the second half. He's now 1-12 in his career against the spread in the second half. That was an interesting one for you. But this is the interesting one. Teams that are 3-0 through 3 weeks, straight up, that are underdogs in their fourth game have historically struggled. Okay, going back the last 20 years, teams that are 3-0 and are listed as an underdog. And you think like, well, that's weird. Those teams are 2-9 straight up and 3-7-1 against the spread over the last decade. Over the last 20 years, those teams that are underdogs, 6-19 straight up, 9-15-1 against the spread over the last 20 years. So while you think there's 3 teams that are undefeated that are dogs this week, it's the Seahawks, it's the Vikings, and it's the Bills. History says one of those teams will win, the other 2 teams will lose. So I think one of the teams that will lose will be the Vikings. So I will take the Packers. I'm not sure if it's going to be Jordan Love, but we have seen what Matt LaFleur has been able to do. Love watching what Sam Darnold has done, but pressure has gotten to him. I think the Packers defense is much improved this year. I like them at home. I bought half a point to get it at 2.5. I think I still got it on DraftKings at like minus 122 for the odds. So I like the Packers minus 2.5. The stinkiest play of the week. Real stinky. Give me the Jags. Give me the Jags plus the 6.5. Plus 6.5 against the Texans. The Jags were awful last week. The Bills blew the doors off them. Trevor Lawrence said they sucked in week 2. I don't know what he would call week 3 then. But historically, teams that have been blown out really bad tend to bounce back. It's just the way of the NFL. Okay. So they lost by 37 points. In the last 20 years, again, from the Action Network, teams that lose by 30 points and are underdogs of 4 or more in the following week cover 64% of the time. Teams that lose by 35 points or more cover 62% of the time in their next game. Okay. So, and if they're a 4-point or higher dog, they cover 73% of the time. This is just one of those. They cannot be that bad. There has to be pride in that locker room. It's a really stinky play. The Jags, I think, stink, but it's just one of those trends over the last 20 years. It's just a system play. It's kind of like the Bears play. I'm just following the trends that have been historically in the NFL over that span. So teams that have been blown up by 35 points or more and are big underdogs the following week, cover 73% of the time. So I will back the Jags, the pathetic 0-3 Jags, to keep it close in Houston against the Texans. I've been all over the unders, right? We've been pretty good at hitting the unders. We swept Detroit in the under and Detroit against the spread last week against the Bucks. Or no, it wasn't against the Bucks. It was against the Cardinals. This week, found an over that I like. Found an over. Give me the Commanders, Cardinals over 50. But Dan, you were talking about how the under has been so good when totals have been 50 or higher. I know this is one I'm going to take a chance on because the Commanders defense is really bad. They're really bad. Cardinals have a couple of injuries. I'm not sure about Trey McBride. He had a concussion last week for the Cardinals. I still think that Cardinals defense is fun. I still think they're a little frisky. I love the way the Commanders offense is playing. They haven't punted in 2 straight games. And this is the sharp play. 63% of the bets are on the over, but 68% of the money. 36% of the bets are on the over, but 68% of the money is on the over. This is the sharp play. We will follow the big bets. We will follow the big money. Public is getting crushed this year. Remember last year I kept talking about we're going to zig when everybody else zags, but the public had a great year last year. They hit like 65% of their bets. The public is getting crushed this year. Follow the sharp money. In the long run, sharp money is going to win. So we're following the sharp money here, taking the over 50 in the Commanders-Cardinals game. And then the last 6 plays are all for Sunday Night Football. I'm not going to pick a side. I think this game can go either way. It's hard to bet against the Bills right now with how they're playing and how everything is working out so well. My heart says the Bills are just this team that everything is clicking. But that's usually when you kind of tend to get humbled. I also don't think the Bills have played anybody that great the first 3 weeks, but they beat the doors off them, which is what good teams do to bad teams. It's not a knock on who they played, but I think this will be a step up in weight class for them. And this could be the week where the Bills really missed Terrell Bernard and Taron Johnson and those guys on the defensive end, on the defensive side. So I like Lamar Jackson over rushing yards. It's at 57.5 on DraftKings. I will take the over. I think this is a spot where Lamar's already gone over that 2 out of the 3 times this year. The Ravens offense isn't really clicking. Mark Andrews hasn't really gotten anything going historically. Lamar hasn't even thrown for 200 yards in his career against the Bills in any game, but I think he can still hurt them with their legs. This could be a game where they really miss Milano, Bernard, and Taron Johnson. So I'll take Lamar Jackson over 57.5 rushing yards. The next 5 plays are all Bills plays, and I love them. So we'll just roll through them real quickly. I like James Cook over receiving yards. It's at 19.5 right now on DraftKings. He's gone over that already 2 out of 3 times this year, and the one time he didn't was against Miami, where the game was pretty much already in hand. He is becoming a complete back. Whether or not you want to call that a drop, he could have had another touchdown. I get it, but he just looks a lot more confident. And as a complete back in the blitz pickup game, running inside the tackles, running outside the tackles, all of those things. And I think he's looked a lot better in the passing game. And Josh is, everybody eats. He's been spreading it around. The Ravens have the best running defense in the NFL by a lot. They're only allowing about 50 yards a game rushing against. The next closest is 70. They are dominant against the run. So I think this is going to be a game where it's in Josh Allen's hands a lot, which is great. I think that's where he's the MVP favorite, all of those things. So I like a lot of guys to continue to spread the ball around. And this Ravens secondary is historically right now the worst in the National Football League. So they are allowing the most passing yards against and the fewest rushing yards against. So I think the ball is going to be in Josh Allen's hands to distribute it. So I like the James Cook over 19.5 receiving yards. I like lather, rinse, repeat. If it's not broke, we're not going to fix it. We've done it the first 2 weeks. We're going to do it again. Dalton Kincaid over 37.5. Brock Bowers ate this defense up when the Raiders played against the Ravens. I see a similar game plan like that. Brock Bowers had 9 catches for 98 yards. I think another similar game. They saw Kincaid get more involved in the offense last week. I can see that continuing this week. Also like Khalil Shakir. Lather, rinse, repeat. If it's not broke, we're not going to fix it. Over 47.5 receiving yards. I don't think the book has adjusted for what he is. He's got his last 26 targets. He's on pace to break an NFL record for the most consecutive catches. He is not necessarily a number 1 wide receiver in the sense of what you're prototypically think as a true number 1 guy is, but he's the most dependable guy that Josh is looking to. He's looking to him a lot. I will take the over once again with Khalil Shakir. We've hit it last week. And then finally, my last 2 props, the ones I like the best. By far my best bet. It's probably a 2-unit play on Josh Allen over 230.5 passing yards. I think that they're allowing 200 and over 280 yards. The Ravens defenses a game. They've gotten, I can't say that Dak lit them up because it was a lot in garbage time, but Mahomes as well as Gardner Minshew both had their ways with his secondary. I think that's where you can attack this defense. So I love the over for Josh Allen in passing yards. To me, that's a no-brainer. I think Josh Allen dominates this game with his arm. I also think he does it with his legs. So give me Josh Allen over 33.5 rushing yards. He's done it 2 out of 3 times this week or this year already. The 1 week he didn't do it in Miami. He didn't seem comfortable running the ball. But if the Ravens play man defense, we know what Josh likes to do and beat that with his legs. I don't think 33.5 is crazy for Josh to think that he goes over that. So those are the 11 plays. We'd like to stay hot. We hope we hit one on Thursday, be in the positive money heading into Sunday. There they are. I'll run through them one more time real quick. Devin Singletary's over. Bears -3. Jags +6.5. Packers -2.5. Commanders over. Lamar over rushing yards. And then receiving yards over for Cook, Kincaid, Shakir. And then passing yards over for Josh Allen. And the over for Josh Allen's rushing yards. 11 plays for a juicy week 4. We got hot in week 3. Let's keep it going. We don't want to have another pep talk. I don't want to have to edit another video like that. But again, we'll keep it going. Special thanks to Bob Johnson Auto Group for sponsoring Uncle Dan's Best Bets. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the video. We appreciate it. As always, tell your friends about Uncle Dan's Best Bets. Best of luck to you, and let's have a really fun Sunday. Let's have a great Sunday night where we just start winning all of our money. And I think the Bills game could go either way. The Ravens at home on primetime at night are 20-3 under John Harbaugh. It is a tough place to win. Josh Allen can do it. Let's have to wait and see. I'll just sit back as a spectator. I will be there in Baltimore on the sidelines with Catalana. We'll have coverage from that as well. But for Uncle Dan's best bets this week, best of luck to you. We'll catch you next time here on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel.